Hey everybody, it's me, Jen, and I'm nothing if not intense. It's Thursday, September 6th. Welcome to part 2 of Paddock 200, Danley 18, Suspicious Activity Reports. Firstly, I would like to just do a little bit of housekeeping. I believe I mentioned that Stephen Paddock used Western Union to wire the money overseas. I did not mean to say Western Union. That's never been verified that that's how he wired that money overseas. So I think I was just using it as a generic name brand term for that. So I do apologize. Also, one of my awesome subscribers, Jen G, pointed out that Paddock owning and being the registered owner of all the firearms has never really been independently verified. And she makes a good point. So I know I said that would be the dumbest gun running operation because all those firearms were in his name. So again, that has never really been independently verified. We're just going on the word of LVMPD, and we all know how that goes. So also, I printed that darn DHS statement on March 6th, 2018. Not March 3rd, March 6th. I don't know why I kept bouncing back and forth in between March 3rd and March 6th, but I apologize. So let's jump back into this report I found. When I was talking about the Antifa of Melbourne claim, and how somebody at the California Office of Emergency Services said, yes, that was a bogus claim. This is how that was presented. But first off, here is the significant incident report from the Route 91 Music Festival, which came from Las Vegas Fusion Center. Please see the attached SNCTC SIR detailing the Route 91 Musical Festival shooting. Well, as you can see, it's been redacted. However, this was only a portion of that report, the Antifa claim. That's the only thing that we get to see from that SIR. But this is from a threat analyst or a duty analyst from the California State Threat Assessment Center speaking about this Antifa claim. I looked into the tweet and found the Fiberline Cut story to be old, and the Twitter account was actually run by alt-right posters looking to draw negative attention to Antifa. Similar tactic and something we can look for in the future. And this Maria Gomez was like, wow, an interesting tactic. So that's the story behind that. The next thing I would like to share with you is something else I found in this huge responsive document set that California sent back. It starts on page 116. Excuse me, it starts on page 116. I'm sorry. And it's from this Brian Banning, who works for the Threat Assessment Center, but also is a member of InfraGard. And InfraGard is a partnership in partnership with the FBI, and its members, and it has different offices throughout the United States, and its members are private sector people who maybe are in the State Threat Assessment Center, they're in energy, utilities, anything critical infrastructure. These private citizens can go through the FBI vetting process to become a member of this InfraGard. And I do have, like, the homepage for that. So it's a partnership between the FBI and members of the private sector, provides a vehicle for seamless public-private collaboration with government that expedites the timely exchange of information, promotes learning opportunities relevant to protection of critical infrastructure. With thousands of vetted members nationally, InfoGuard's membership includes business execs, entrepreneurs, military government officials, computer professionals, academia, state, local, law enforcement, each dedicated to contributing industry-specific insight and advancing national security. So this is what this Brian Banning is a part of. And Brian Banning made the following report, I guess you would say. I guess I think they're a little bit too big. So it talks about the threat assessment of the different regions in California. What are the threats? Goes through the threats: jihad, anarchists, nut jobs, disgruntled insiders. What can be attacked? Is it an attack? See something, say something. Talks about global terrorism threats, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Goes through a bunch of things. So I'm just going through this from conversion to terrorism. I'm just paging down like I am right now. Now we're getting into Antifa. Black Bloc. Black Bloc is not a group. It's a tactic. As these guys are all dressed in black and they're all arms are length, that's Black Bloc. That is a tactic, not a group. Extremist groups: Earth Liberation Front, Animal Liberation Front, Earth First. I'm just perusing this. Bruce Ivins, which Brian did spell his last name wrong. It's Ivins. He was the person that they ended up, he worked in Maryland, I believe, in a military installation. It was surrounding the whole, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Surrounding the, oh my gosh, where's my word? Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Anthrax. Back in like 2001, they ended up questioning him. So that's who he is. Let's look at the next page. And then all of a sudden, boom, this picture pops up. Doesn't have Stephen Paddock's name there, but obviously that's a picture inset of him and around the Route 91 memorial. It's like, whoa. All these other people that he is referencing in this report are some type of extremist or foreign terrorists. So I thought, wow, okay, Brian just popped Paddock in there. But it kind of all makes sense because I'm seeing that connection to some type of radicalization, some extreme ties, extremist ties, and to somebody, to something. I see his travel, him and Danley seem to be in some hot spots for Islamic extremism. They really did. The Philippines has really become an Islamic hotspot. A lot of these guys are going to the Philippines. They're not going back after their caliphate was defeated. They're going to the Philippines. So this report goes on understanding extremist ideologies, a whole slew of information. Some of this, hetchy, I don't know what that means. Apparently, this Harris Ranch, that one picture where it says, was this an attack? And there was a bunch of dead cows, I'm assuming relates to this Harris Ranch thing. Some stuff that we're not able to see. Jagged car dig, I'm not exactly sure what that is. So, again, there is a ton of information in this set of documents. It is a pain in the banooch to go through it all, but there's a lot in there. Let's remind ourselves what the statement from DHS was in that National Critical Incident Call, known information regarding threats against the homeland. However, just 5 days earlier, 5 days, guys, the then acting Secretary of DHS, Elaine Duke, testified in front of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs in a hearing titled Threats to the Homeland. September 27th, 2017, 5 days before the attack. She basically says, right now, the terror threat to our country equals and in many ways exceeds the period around 9/11. We are seeing a surge in terrorist activity. They're crowdsourcing their violence online in a do-it-yourself approach. Primary international terror threat facing our country is from global jihadist groups. However, the department is also focused on the threat of domestic terrorism. Ideologically motivated extremists here in the United States are a threat to our nation, our people, and our values. So, again, that was 5 days before this attack happened. Christopher Wray and, I can't remember his first name, Rasmussen, also testified in this hearing. And I'll provide the links to not only the written testimony, but the oral testimony, which is on C-SPAN. That is kind of a snooze fest, but I will link it if you would like to watch it. Also, we had, in May of 2017, the ISIS video that shows the Las Vegas Strip. There was also another video, I believe, put out by ISIS within the previous 6 to 8 months, and it had Las Vegas in it also. But let's just watch this.
The sympathizers have their eyes on the Strip, and a new video calls for attacks on famous landmarks.
Marissa Kinnison joins us live from the Strip with what's being done to keep us safe.
Well, some of the famous landmarks that we're used to seeing around the city, including some on the Strip right here behind me, are clearly seen in that new video. Now take a look. In the propaganda video, several Strip properties are clearly shown, making Vegas a potential terror target. Now the latest video is the second time ISIS has featured Las Vegas in its terrorism recruitment videos. The first was this time last year. Since then, there has been a big push to bring in more police officers to the Valley Metro. Plans to recruit 600 to 700 new officers in the next few months, and many of those will go right here on the Strip. Now, even though some of the famous landmarks are featured in the video, a specific threat that they actually talk about in the video was not made towards Vegas. Marissa Kinnison, 13 Action News. Thanks, Marissa. We'll find great.
And also, we can take a look at this regarding the same video that ISIS put out. And this was May 24th, 2017. Oops, sorry.
Islamic State releasing a new propaganda video showing the Las Vegas Strip. and officials there say they're treating it as a credible threat. A group that monitors extremist propaganda released a statement a segment of the video, which calls for people to carry out lone wolf terror attacks in the United States using knives or vehicles. The video shows landmarks in Las Vegas and other major U.S. cities. Police in Vegas said they're taking the threat seriously. I mean, what else are they going to do? And that they're stepping up security as they prepare for a very busy Memorial Day weekend. We don't show these propaganda videos, and we won't. Trace Gallagher with more of the details. What else do we know about this thing?
Well, Shep, it was apparently narrated by an American jihadist, and when he calls on ISIS sympathizers to attack targets in Russia, Europe, and America, it shows video of the Las Vegas Strip, including places like the Bellagio Hotel. Investigators say they believe the video is somewhere back in 2015, but they say it would be irresponsible to dismiss the threat, especially in the wake of the Manchester Arena attack and the fact that Vegas is a big event destination replete with nightclubs, concert venues, and thousands of people walking around at any given moment. And when you have this ISIS propaganda video, along with last week's warning from Homeland Security calling this the most serious threat environment since 9/11, it tends to get people's attention. Chuck.
How do law enforcement officials say they're increasing security along the Strip?
Well, some of the common sense things are already in place, like stepping up patrols and surveillance on the Strip and in downtown Vegas. Plus, Metro, which is the combined police force of Las Vegas and surrounding Clark County, has something called the Counterterrorism Center, known locally as the Fusion Center, along with having multiple video feeds of public areas in and around Vegas. The Fusion Center links up local law enforcement with state and federal agencies, as well as the more than 5,000 security personnel who work at properties along the Strip. The goal is to share intelligence, and if a threat is identified, they can all work together to come up with a coordinated response. Remember after 9/11, when federal agencies were criticized so heavily for not sharing information? Well, this is meant as kind of a part of the bottom line solution.
Chef Trace Gallagher live with us. Trace, thank you.
That was the climate in mid-2017, fall 2017, close to the shooting. A lot of talk of a high level of terrorism threat. And I feel like people have just kind of forgotten about that or chosen to ignore that. In light of what I found, I think it's relevant to take a look at that stuff again. I briefly just want to touch on the responsive documents from the Nevada Threat Analysis Center, which, again, it's from that same FOIA request about alt-right, alt-left, all that good stuff. So in this batch, they actually did 2 responses to his request, and there's not much in either one of them, and there's nothing like what was in all the stuff from the California Office of Emergency Services. But in the first responsive documents, the only thing I found really was on page 30, and it's from, I believe it stands for Law Enforcement Intelligence Update Daily. And it just chronicles the sum of the timeline and how the FBI was using billboards to ask for the public's help with a shooting probe. They searched Paddock's house again on Sunday, interviewed Paddock's brother. What I've found in researching, like I have been recently, is each Fusion Center, Threat Center has some type of daily update that brings all the national, international news together in the criminal intelligence scenario. This happens to be Law Enforcement Intelligence Update. California has the STAC report every day. Washington has, I can't remember what it's called, but the one Washington has, and if you look through the 1,800 pages of documents, you will find that over and over, where you go to this report, and it has tons and tons of It's a great archive, actually, of articles. But again, a lot of these are coming from mainstream media, so same old, same old. But it is a wonderful archive. So this was in the first release. And then in the second release, they have a little bit different. It's called the Investigative Project on Terrorism Update. This is from October 3rd. So, general security policy, U.S. officials, Vegas shooter sent tens of thousands of dollars overseas. No evidence supporting Islamic State's claim of Las Vegas shooting, or the claim that he was a recent convert to Islam. Gaping wounds, full beds, Vegas hospitals are overwhelmed. So that's an overview, and then it goes into the actual articles. Vegas shooter sent tens of thousands of dollars overseas. There was confusion about Stephen Paddock's girlfriend, Mary Lou, who left the U.S. before Paddock committed the horrific attack, which I disagree with, that killed 59, and there's a death toll issue that I will get to at some point. But, so, killed 59, injured 515 others. They are looking into whether Paddock sent the cash to Danley amid conflicting reports she's in either the Philippines or Japan. There should not be any conflicts. They said they knew where she was at. No, they did. Well, they did, and she wasn't overseas. It's not immediately clear when the money was transferred. ISIS, which has a strong presence in the Philippines, claimed Monday that Paddock was a soldier who converted to Islam months ago. But the FBI on Tuesday discounted any connection between Paddock's deadly rampage and international terrorism. Then it talks about how investigators are baffled about the motive, the hospitals. So, again, it's kind of a good archive of different news articles that were out there at the time. Now remember, this is October 3rd. Federal, state, and local investigators have found no evidence that Paddock, 64, had even incidental contacts with foreign or domestic extremist groups, and reviews of his history show no underlying pattern of law-breaking or hate speech, a senior U.S. Homeland Security official said on Tuesday. Very early on. Again, they were within the first 24 hours just ruling that out. How could they do that so quickly? But then yet again, Aaron Rouse says, we've had 1,000 agents working all across the globe. So they just contradict themselves at every turn, it seems. And I remember in one of the early press conferences, when a reporter asked something about ISIS, he was just so defensive and so, well, show me proof. I want to see it, or whatever. It just speaks of hiding something to me. Again, this is my opinion, my humble opinion. Now, I probably should be wrapping this up since I overslept an hour this morning, or I overslept and I was an hour late for work. I really don't want that to happen again today. So I probably should wrap this up. But I hope that you can kind of see the picture that I'm seeing. And if you agree, wonderful. If you don't, that's fine too. I understand. I'm just trying to tell you and show you what I found and the thought patterns that I have based on what I've found. I will leave you with highlighting again, Paddock was the subject of 200 financial SARs with all revolved around casino activity. His girlfriend was the subject of 18 financial SARs. Is that not indicative of something? I believe it is. I'm off to bed, so I'm not late for work tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll be back with you soon. Thanks.